The next story that I have, I think is very interesting. It's one that's very controversial. It also is one of those stories that makes me feel great that I have followers, people that support this channel, people that watch this channel, who are not lunatics, by the way. You know, not lunatics, not bigoted. Because this is the type of story that bigots use to hold their false beliefs. They prop up their bad beliefs with statements like this. For the record, let it be known, I like Denzel Washington's acting. But Denzel Washington is only an actor. And right now, he's acting like he knows something about police incarceration that he does not know. Maybe he's auditioning for a new role. Guy who puts his foot in his mouth. Denzel Washington speaks out. He says, don't blame the system for black incarceration. It starts at home. Actor Denzel Washington, who plays a lawyer in his new movie, says his views on the American criminal justice system hasn't changed. He said the system shouldn't be blamed for black incarceration because it starts in fatherless homes. Okay. Denzel Washington, where are those fathers at? Prison. Prison. Get it? Prison. That's why. Where do you think they've been, man? All right. Legendary actor Denzel Washington says a recent movie role hasn't changed his views. What did Washington say? Washington, who plays a young, ambitious lawyer in the new movie Roman J. Israel, Esquire, told reporters at the film premiere that his role didn't make him more cynical about the criminal justice system, but reinforced what he already believed. And I quote, he says, it starts at the home. It starts at the home. It starts with how we raise our children. If a young man doesn't have a father figure, he'll go find a father figure. So, you know, I can't blame the system. It's unfortunate that we make such easy work for them. Washington explained that he has his personal experience growing up around fatherless homes in the black community. I grew up with guys who did decades in prison, and it had so much to do with their fathers not being in their lives as it had to do with the system. By the time we got 13 or 14, things happened, Washington explains. Now, I was doing just as much as they were, but they went further. I just didn't get caught. But they kept doing that road. They kept going down that road. And then they were in the hands of the system. But it's about the formative years. You're not born a criminal. You're not born a criminal. Okay. Now, we've all heard about Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, where she painstakingly outlines the criminal justice impact on black communities, on the black family, right? Denzel Washington, we need to get you a damn copy of The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. That's the first place we start. Let's start there. Start by becoming educated. Second thing you need to know, Denzel Washington, you're right. The family is very important. It's extremely important. What also would be important would be jobs. One cannot overlook unemployment in the black community as being part of the reason that there are problems of families being in disarray. Employment, economics has a lot to do with family life. If people can't work, the stress that it puts on relationships is monumental. If you want to have these conversations, let's have them. But let's also bring some data into it. Now, let's go back to the law enforcement. Law enforcement. Let's just look at drug laws, right? Black people and white people use drugs at about the same rates. You can find this in all reports. Statistically, it's a very small margin of difference, okay? You know, white people, black people both use drugs, okay? But black people are 6 times more likely to go to jail for it. And when they go to jail for it, they get longer sentences. Denzel Washington, you must become educated. I don't tell you this to let anybody off the hook. I think we should be good fathers. I think we should be breadwinners. I think we should stay home with our wives and stay home with our families and try to build families. Yes, I do. But to totally take the fucking law enforcement, I don't have any coins for the jar, the law enforcement component off the table, that's a disservice to reality. And it's only fodder for right-wing bastards to make this claim, omitting all of the data that tells you otherwise. My brother, the laws, the stop and frisk by itself, God damn it, the stop and frisk, the pullovers, the stops, the arrests, all of it, all that data's out there. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt. We've had study after study. You could throw a rock and hit a study which shows you this. Even people like Ben Shapiro will admit black people get pulled over and harassed more. They'll just say you deserve it because you're doing more. But this is not even a thing that people doubt, that we get arrested more often. This is common knowledge. For you to be 62 and not know this, not know it, I understand you rich and you live somewhere else. And this is the thing people need to realize. Once you leave the community and you're no longer part of everyday people problems, you no longer will remember them as vividly. How many of the friends that you grew up with were their fathers in the military? Maybe they were in Vietnam. Maybe they had PTSD. I don't know. Could they find work? Or were they in jail? Is that why they weren't home? All these things matter. I'm not saying you're totally wrong. I think the family does have a place. But I think that you are not at all mentioning, and maybe you mentioned it, they took it out of the article. You know, sometimes these interviews, they cut it, they get the part they want to get, okay? But, come on, man. You know, this looks horrible. And it gives people the wrong information that they can run around with to further strengthen their biased beliefs.